I see my cycle all the way.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being here. We thank the Lord for this wonderful day. I believe God has a purpose why we are here. And I normally say the smaller number the better, because if I intimate, and it becomes easier for us even to ask difficult questions. So please feel free. I'm not going to speak for too long because Chris still has to present, and we also want to give more attention on the questions. Okay. So today we are going to speak about mental health. I'm a social worker by profession, and I find my job very interesting because my job is to look after the well-being of offenders, of prisoners. I work for the Department of Correctional Services. So it got me thinking, if the department thought my presence there is important to look after the well-being of these people who have offended, then it means this is a very serious thing. Amen. Then as a church, we need to talk about it. We need to embrace the topic. We need to have these conversations because mental health, I'll just start by saying, it affects everyone. Like the old slogan, HIV and AIDS, that if you are not infected, you are affected. So you may not directly be having a mental health problem at the moment, but it can be your child. You know, it can be your wife, it can be your parents, it can be your colleague or your neighbor. So according to research, 1 in 4 people are affected by mental health problems or issues or conditions or disorder. So it's like if Mfundisi here and Esther and Chris and Katego, then the next one is affected. So meaning this is a conversation that we all need to have, and it's important for us to understand. I came across a quote this morning that as I was reading and preparing, it says that although mental health cannot be physically detected, it doesn't mean that it's not severe. So physical illness, you can easily see and identify the symptoms. But with mental health, you don't really see. And they gave an example that if a company wants to advertise a brand, maybe let's say a chocolate, they will find maybe this attractive woman showing how delicious the chocolate is, and you will go and buy it. But we don't actually have a picture, mental illness. So meaning mental illness looks like us. It looks exactly like the faces that we see here. Haina picture. So meaning that you can have a mental health condition but still function, but still go to church, and still go to work and do a perfect job, but suffering from a mental health condition. So this is something we need to talk about as a church, and I'll just say a few things and then give Chris an opportunity to come. So mental health refers to the well-being of our thoughts. So our thoughts need to be healthy. It talks about the well-being of how we make decisions, of how we interact or have relationships with other people, and how we handle issues like stress, because stress is part of life. So when we talk about mental health, it's the well-being, basically the well-being of our thoughts. Our bodies are healthy, and we know we can easily go to a dentist when you have a toothache, but when you have a mental health problem, you may not necessarily be aware or even take action. So it's about finding purpose and meaning, and also coping with challenges. So as people, we have emotions. We all feel sad sometimes, feel angry, don't have the energy. That does not mean you have a mental health condition. Those are normal emotions. But when this feeling persists, When this feeling, it's like every day, then it can indicate that there is a problem. So it doesn't mean when you are feeling stressed today, you have a condition. But when that feeling of feeling depressed or feeling stressed or low energy, then it can indicate that something is not okay. Then you need to get therapy or counseling. And then we'll talk also about the myths, just few myths, and realities about mental health, because these myths, they are contributing to people not seeking help because of the stigma. We don't associate mental illness as a normal condition, like we look at normal or we look at physical illness. When it's a mental condition, then we attach names to it, wahafa. In prison, when they see someone consulting a social worker or a psychologist, they say, "Ki network." So, network, but not necessarily. Anyone can benefit from counseling or from interacting with a healthcare or a therapist, either a social worker or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So it's important for us to understand that life is challenging, and because this life is not predictable, we will come across challenges, and those challenges are the ones that contribute to our mental health being compromised. Chris will touch also on that one deeply, looking into how these relationships with colleagues or with our partners or as children in the family, how all of that affects our mental health. Then we will also look into the signs and symptoms, because when we are not aware, it will not be easy for us to deal with it. So it's important for us to understand what it is so that we can address it. The good news is that mental health or mental conditions are treatable. So it doesn't mean it's a life sentence when you find yourself in that situation or in that space. Anyone can be traumatized. Anyone can reach a breaking point. So it does not necessarily mean that you are going to be in that, because that's why people, they don't seek help. They think, I'll be on sleeping tablets forever and but that is not necessarily the case. It may take long, it can take years to recover, because remember, we are not the same again. And these things, you cannot walk into therapy today, got a childhood trauma that's 20 years back, and then you expect a miracle should happen in a month or in one session. So for some of us, we will need to give therapy a chance to work, give medication in other cases. I think we'll also touch on that, to work so that we can fully recover. But that is the good news about it's severe, it's a serious mental condition, but it can be treated. There are treatment options available, either a medication or a talk therapy, or even maintaining healthy lifestyles. So the signs and symptoms of mental illness, you will, like I said, we all have bad days, and it's okay. But if the bad days is our normal, then that is no longer normal. So you can see by changes in your behavior. For example, maybe you no longer enjoy the activities that you previously enjoyed, going to church or socializing. So mental illness can make you isolated. You feel like, I cannot go out and mingle or socialize with other people. It can also have an impact or even basic hygiene, just to get clean, or even a serious mission. So that's why as a church we need to understand, so that we don't judge, but we create a space of understanding and openness and acceptance. So it can also make change. You can also see changes in your appetite. Some eat a lot, some eat less. And ladies especially, don't get too excited when you lose weight for no reason. Ne, it could be stress. Ne. So your weight loss must be must have an explanation. So in some it can be eating too much or eating less, or even sleeping too much or even sleeping less. So there's a link between insomnia and mental illness. Ne. And then there can also be changes, an impact in your memory. You lose concentration. You are here, but you are thinking about that husband, that toxic relationship, or you don't enjoy, you cannot be in a moment. You are occupied by that particular situation or that event. So it affects us physically, it affects us emotionally, and it can also affect our behavior, how we interact with other people. I think for now, I'll just leave it there for Chris to come and finish the other part. Then we'll go to questions. Some of the things, we will cover them in question and answers. Thank you so much.